Hello all, and welcome to the Ladies' Lounge broadcast. I'm Edith Bernauer, and I am joined today by a face that has appeared all over y'all's screens, and a name written in all your best newspapers, Cordelia Seawright. A pleasure to see you.
A pleasure to be here.
How are you faring today?
Oh, very well, thank you. It's been a gorgeous day.
Shame we're stuck inside. For all y'all listening, we do have a window, although it is nothing compared to being outside. If you can, sit by a window. Listen with a fine drink, maybe a pot of tea, in honor of our guest.
Oh, goodness, I fear I'm becoming a trendsetter so soon.
Of course, you are the woman of the hour. Speaking of which, I think our dear listeners would turn away from our channel if we did not get to the main points of today. Do tell us about your latest film.
Oh, it would be my pleasure. The Lighthouse Maiden was such a delight to film, and it was honestly an honor to take such an important role.
Important? Darling, you were the titular character. Don't sell yourself short.
I suppose I should not underplay for those of you who do watch it. I am afraid you shall hardly escape me.
And as a lady who has seen the movie, I simply must recommend it. Nothing but glowing reviews, especially for Miss Seawright's performance.
Oh, you flatterer. I am very glad it's received such favorable reviews. It was a joy to film. Everyone on set truly made the film what it was meant to be.
Any behind-the-scenes stories our wonderful viewers will not have heard of? Or will they be designated to a future article?
I don't see why I could not share a couple. There was a particular incident that comes to mind in one of the most pivotal scenes. I'll refrain from saying too much to avoid revealing the plot to anyone who's yet to watch it.
And if they're a loyal listener, they will.
There was a particular prop, the pendant that the maiden, my character, wears. It has such an important meaning throughout the film, I digress. But one of the most crucial scenes with it, we simply could not find it anywhere. Director Bainton was tearing up the set. We had assistants knee-deep in the ocean looking for it.
My goodness, quite a search party.
The entire crew was searching for it. I, of course, was beside myself. I completely thought it had fallen from my neck, and we were going to have to postpone the film so we could get a new necklace. Bainton practically chewed me out for it.
So what happened in the end?
As it turns out, it simply got swapped. Richmond, our leading gentleman, his wife, had mistaken it for one of her missing necklaces and picked it up from the props table without realizing. Oh, the look on his face when he realized he had been tearing down heaven and hell for what was around his dear wife's neck.
We should always suspect the unexpected. Talk about keeping it in the family.
Oh, I don't think it was intentionally taken at all. Just an innocent mistake. But my goodness, it was such a hectic day.
I can only imagine. How did the others react?
Oh, mostly relief. We were simply glad we did not have to waste any of the budget. Although one of the assistants did slip and fall into the tide. I don't think they've forgiven Leslie for making them search.
That's certainly one way to spend a day out in the water.
Oh, quite. But they did have fun. Once filming wrapped up, I did see a couple of them go for a proper swim before headed home.
Did you join them?
Oh, heavens, no. I was exhausted by that point, and besides, us Seawrights don't fare well in seawater as we used to.
You have much stronger resolve than I. That is for certain.
Would you have joined them?
Join them? Cordelia. May I call you Cordelia?
Well, that sure is my name.
Cordelia, I would have hitched up my skirts and led the charge.
Oh, Edith, you do paint a picture.
So, not many activities on the beach, but were you close with any of your other crew members? We saw you and Lonnie Parker looking quite close together on set.
Oh, well, Lonnie is a gentleman, but, he will make another woman very happy with her choice of husband. I am currently unavailable.
You hear this, dear listeners? Set your infatuations elsewhere. Cordelia Goldfinch Seawright is not for you.
You make it sound as though every man across the ocean pines for me.
Ah, such is the life of a young woman. But tell me more about your fellow filmmakers. You had quite the team on set.
Well, we have all seen how lovely Lonnie Parker is, both as my charming antagonist in the film and in interviews. A true gentleman. And I simply must commend the crew, each and every one of them dedicated and determined to making the movie a complete success.
What about the director, Leslie Bainton? It is, after all, no secret that the two of you are close.
Leslie Bainton is a wonderful director. He truly knows everything about his craft. It was a delight seeing him at work, and even more of a delight making his vision come true.
I think we both know our listeners want more than that. Tell us what the man's like. I've heard he's quite the personality.
Well, he's certainly a skillful director, and of course funded the majority of the film from his own pocket, as he insisted. I believe he was also the primary screenwriter.
I heard a rather unflattering story of his language on set. Would you mind verifying it?
What kind of language?
I was hoping you can tell me. We had an anonymous source state that perhaps he was not as kind to the assistants as you were.
Oh, well, Leslie is as hardworking as they get, and as all determined individuals are, they may not have time for the small talk or the simple pleasantries.
He spoke unkindly to them?
I don't believe that is what I said. More so that he had a lot of things to do, and sometimes that requires needing others to be focused, not dallying.
He berated them.
Goodness, you twist my words so heavily.
I'm a woman of truth, Cordelia. Only that this is not the first time I've received report of his less than kind behavior. Did you have any personal gripes with him?
No, none. Truth be told, we rarely interacted on set. Two different worlds.
What about offset? Do you believe this could have been due to his own view of you? As your...
I would hope that people of our statutes would be far more mature than to bring our own quarrels into a professional setting.
As would I. Although, this is hardly the first time the Baintons have been in the spotlight for less than savory reasons. Why, I believe only last year my husband was writing up an article about him stealing a poor young writer's film for his own adaptation.
Well, I could not comment on that story at all. I had nothing to do with that particular movie. The Skipper's Wife, was it not?
You are aware of it?
Of course. It was a spectacular movie. One of the director's finest.
Then surely you have been aware of the controversy surrounding the true writer. Of course, Leslie Bainton has the funding to back up his claim. But what of the younger writer who claims he exploited him for the story? Nathaniel Stevens?
I have never met with Mr. Stevens, although if the story were to be true, I would sympathize with him, very much so.
Ah, a sympathetic woman.
Of course. I believe that whoever wrote The Skipper's Wife is a true writer, one of integrity and passion for their craft.
Well, let's talk about it. As it interests you, what drew you to films like The Skipper's Wife? And, as they are the same genre of oceanside romances, The Lighthouse Maiden?
Oh, I do have a fondness for romances. I'm sure you can find that same pattern in my line of films.
What about the oceanside aspects? We simply must bring up a penchant for the ocean. It does run in your family line.
Well, yes. My father was the managing director of the Seawright line, truth be told. I rarely spent time on ships. I know very little about them.
Not quite Isidore Seawright's protochild daughter, then. Oh, my apologies. That was a little too cutting of me when you are taking so much time out of your day to come speak with me.
No offense taken, I assure you. Merely that, leading up to my father's rather public passing, I was not entirely close with him. Neither was my brother, so the term prodigal does not serve our family well. Morgan and I have forged our own paths.
And what splendid view to take. But on a softer tone, how was your father when you knew him?
Very caring, very attentive. My father was wonderful, often playing with us children when he could, though he had a tendency to get lost in thought.
When he was able to?
Oh, truth be told, I was beginning to question why this had not come up yet, so I shall divulge.
Please do.
I actually grew up in California with both of my aunts. Whenever I saw my father, he was the pinnacle of a kind and upstanding man, so do not take this as any evidence of cruelty on his part, but yes, I did not grow up next to him.
Oh, you poor thing.
The sentiment is not necessary. He was a kind man, and when things turned sour in the family, he did his best to ensure his children would not have to face them. Morgan might have a different story, though.
Were there any specific incidents that created this?
Unfortunately, none that the public are not already privy to.
I assume we both referenced the same incident.
I did have a suspicion this would come up. Please, ask away.
I appreciate your honesty, Cordelia. How was he after the Clarence wreck sank? How long ago was that now?
It was in 1914, over 20 years ago. Around 17 since my father passed.
And how did you and your family react when it happened?
I honestly cannot tell you much, but my father was... Any man would be riddled with guilt after such a horrific incident happened on his terms. He became utterly sickened by it.
Yes, an honorable man would.
Of course, I was away during the worst of it, as per his and my mother's wishes. Neither wanted us to be the center of attention in something so life-changing.
Do you agree with the choice to send you away?
I'm afraid you've asked something incredibly personal. I truly do not know how to answer this. I was only 4 at the time, you see, completely unrelated to the Clarence.
Take your time, please. Any insight is valuable. Partly why I started this was to air out any unspoken victims of the tragedy. Wives of missing men, women who saw the ship implode. I truly empathize with your situation.
I appreciate your dedication to it, Miss Bernauer. I truly do. Yes, I am aware the article at the time painted my father as some sort of egomaniac who took it too far, or one that painted him as a fool. But I do not agree with that either. The choice to send me away was based on care for his children, and I can never fault that.
What of your mother?
I am afraid the tone does not feel correct for such a bright host. My mother was a fantastic performer and truly inspired me to become the woman who I am today.
It sounds as though both your parents were highly influential in your life then, whether you were there to see it or not.
Of course, any proper parent should impact as much positivity on their child as they possibly can, and given the difficulties they both faced, they did a wonderful job in raising us to be good, well-intentioned, and proper members of society.
And we can't fault that.
I agree.
Well, I have to admit, we got onto maybe some heavier topics, but you are nothing but a delight, Cordelia.
Oh, my apologies. Are we coming to the end?
We are, but please, do you have any parting words for our listeners? Either about your stardom, or unsavory individuals, or on anything you want to.
Goodness, I was not expecting to be a spokesperson here. I suppose... always show respect. I have, and it is something I hold very close to me.
And in your character for Lighthouse Maiden, do make sure to see screenings when you can. Now you know the woman behind the maiden a little more intimately. Thank you, Cordelia Seawright, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And we shall see you another day. Coming up next is...